Hey there, beautiful people. I would like to, in today's activity, get you started formatting your final project for this class. Now, we're not going to work on the final project all through May and June. It's only going to be at the very end. But I'm going to take today to actually start setting up that project so we can jump right into it right off the bat when we get closer to June. So here's what I want you to do. We're actually going to play with Google Slides, and I'm going to teach you a couple of different techniques with Google Slides that you may not have thought of before. So number one rule for this assignment is you cannot use any theme that Google offers. Okay, so you're going to go to either slidescarnival.com or slidesmania.com. So I'm going to go to slidesmania. I'm going to spell it right. Okay. Now, both Slides Carnival and Slides Mania offer you templates that you can use for a variety of different Google Slides themes. Okay, so you can see some basic ones right here. They have a bunch of different options along the top. I'm going to click on the Fun option. And again, I don't care which one you choose. I find that Slides Mania tends to be much more in your face. Like you can see like today's activities is like, wow. Whereas Slides Carnival tends to be a little bit more subdued. It does have fun options, but it tends to be more business and high school oriented, where I find that Slides Mania tends to be more elementary oriented. You can see it's very big, bold colors. So I actually happen to like this more template, M-O-O-R-E, template. And so when I click on the template that I actually like, I can scroll down and I can see the different layouts that are available to me by clicking on this next button. So here's different things that are available to me. Obviously, I can change anything I want that's in here, pretty much except the colors. I can play with the colors, but it gets things complicated. And once I find the theme that I like, so I like this theme, I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to click this one that says Get Google Slides Theme. Now, in the upper right corner, you'll see a blue button that says Use Template. Click that. Okay, so once it loads, there's going to be two things I have to do right off the bat. Thing number one that you have to do is you got to change the name, okay? Because I don't want the name of your slide to be 181 More Slides Mania kind of thing. So we're going to call this the IND Final Project. Okay. Then we need to delete all of the slides that they have. So there's going to be like 22, 23 slides. So I'm going to click on the first one, and then I'm going to scroll all the way to the bottom. And it might take a second. Be patient because sometimes it loads slow. So you can see mine's loading slow. And I'm going to hold down Shift, and I'm going to click on that last slide. So you'll notice all the slides down the side are yellow. Then I hit the delete button. Okay, now I've got a fresh blank template to work with. So before I add anything to this, I've got to change my slide layout because I want to create a project that's viewable on a cell phone. So I'm going to click on File and go to Page Setup, and it should be on Custom, and I'm going to change this to 4 inches by 6.7 inches, and that is optimal viewing size for a cell phone, like an iPhone or an Android or anything like that. So now that I have my slides in the layout that I want, I'm going to start adding slide information. So the slide that I want you to look for for the first slide is the one that has a title and 3 columns. Okay, so the reason I want this to be your main slide is I want your name in the very beginning. Obviously, you're going to put your name, not my name. Okay, and then I would like 3 buttons to be able to click on. I want one button that's called Ideation. Remember, ideation is your ideas and where you started from in your projects. And the second step is prototype. And then the third one, that's creating your very first model of getting your ideas into the physical world. And then the last one is iteration. What are the problems that you ran into? How did you overcome them? What did you do to solve those problems? Now, these vertical, now I'm sorry, you can keep them vertical if you want to, perfectly fine with that. If you want to rotate them and make them go down the page, like turn the ideation word 90 degrees like that, and then slide it into position, you are welcome to do that, but make sure that the name is nice and large. I want to be able a nice big clickable button. I don't want that. I actually want mine to be 3 side-by-side buttons. And then, I'm sorry, not 3 side-by-side buttons. I want one on top of the other. And I'm going to play around with this layout for a second, so I apologize. So I want these three lined up with each other. And you'll notice a little red line tells you they're lined up. Okay. Now the other thing is I would like them a larger button to be able to click on because it is for a cell phone. And I'm going to enlarge my text in a second. I'm going to enlarge it and I'm going to make it centered. So I'm going to use those red lines to make sure that my boxes are the same size. I want to make sure they're the same size. There we go. Oops, I changed it. Okay, now I know they're the same size. Okay. So I'm going to change my font size. So I don't want this to be 12. I want this to be large, like 48. Perfect. I'm going to change this to 48. And then I'm going to change this to 48. And again, feel free. You know, your slide and your layouts and everything are going to be dependent on which theme you choose. So I chose this particular theme, so it gave me this particular layout. You may have to choose a different font size because it doesn't work properly with whatever theme you're choosing. Okay, and I made them centered. Okay, now the other thing, I think I'm going to do this also. You are welcome to do this if you want to. I'm going to add a border around it, and that's what this border weight is here. I'm just going to add a nice little box around it. See, as soon as I did, I knew something was wrong with that prototype. There we go. Now it's lined up properly. Knew something was wrong there. Okay, now I can see it a little bit better. Okay, now they're all the same distance. Okay, so the point of this is I want them to be a nice, easy, clickable button. If you would like to add a background to yours, feel free. Go to the fill button, choose something. Maybe you like gradients. I like gradients. Gradients are fun. You know, make it a button. You know, so it's a nice, clear, visible something that you can click on. If you want to keep it as a name, keep it as a name. I don't care. Play around with it. Be creative with this. Okay, but I want 3 buttons. So once you've got your initial slide layout the way you want it, now we're going to add 3 additional slides. We're going to add a slide for ideation, a slide for prototype, and a slide for iteration. You are welcome to make these different layouts. It does not matter to me how you organize this. It is your project, not mine. So use whatever of the layouts you'd like to make this all work. For me, I'm going to choose for the moment. Where is, oh, I like this one. Only because the color switch. So remember that the left-hand side of your screen is going to show the actual layout versus the right-hand side of the screen, which shows you where everything is going to be clickable. So I'm going to add 1 for ideation. Now, obviously, that doesn't work, so I'm going to have to make this wider, flatter, and I'm going to have to rotate it. Okay, so you can see it on the left-hand side, what it's going to look like. So that's okay to start. I'm probably going to make that bigger. And then on the right-hand side is where I'm going to put the information. Now that is going to come much later. Okay, so that's my ideation one. Let's make a slide for my prototyping. Again, it does not matter if it's got 2 columns or 1 column, because what you do to this later is going to make all the difference. So that's going to be my prototype slide, and I'm going to add 1 more slide for my iteration. And for iteration, I want to go with, no, I already chose that one. Let's go with this one. Okay. So those are my 3 slide layouts. Okay. Again, they can be the same. That's great. If you don't want them to be the same, doesn't matter to me. So now what you're going to do is you're going to click back on the original slide, your first slide. What we're going to do is we're going to make these into buttons. Okay, so a button is something that you can click on and it sends you to a different part of the slideshow. So we're going to click on the outside edge. So you notice how my cursor turned into a the crosshairs instead of like a vertical line or anything. I want to make sure I'm on crosshairs so that the whole thing is selected. And then I'm going to come up to the toolbar and I'm going to click on the insert link. Now, I don't want to go to an outside link. Like, I don't want it to go to the web. I want it to go to a slide in this presentation. So Ideation is going to go to slide 2 Ideation. Notice how putting those titles in was super helpful to me. I'm going to do the same thing for Prototype. I'm going to go to Slides in this presentation and go to Prototype, and I'm going to click Apply. Notice how I clicked Apply. Oops, I scrolled down. And then I'm going to do the same thing for Iteration. I'm going to Slides in this presentation. Now this one I'm going to have to scroll down a little bit to get it in there, and it just squeezed it in there. Okay, so now what happens is if I click the Present button, and I go to Ideation, and I click Ideation, it jumps me to the Ideation page, okay? So that's how you can check it as you go. Now, the last thing you need to do for this project, for this assignment, is you have to add a Home button. Now, when I'm on the Home slide, obviously I want to go to Ideation, Prototyping, and Iteration. But when I'm on Ideation, how do I get back to my first slide? Or if I'm on Iteration, how do I get back to my main slide? Well, I want to put a Home button somewhere on the screen. Now, I went to my Bitmojis and I downloaded a Bitmoji, but you are welcome to put whatever type of button you want, but you need to put something in here, some sort of box that's clearly labeled as Home or Title 1, Slide 1, or something like that. Return, back, whatever you want to do. You can use the Shapes buttons, like you can use one of these as a shape if you want to, or you can insert a picture if you want to. So that's what I'm going to do, is I'm going to upload a picture from my computer. Okay, so I downloaded this Bitmoji to my computer earlier. So I'm going to make a little home button. My little home button is going to sit right up there. Okay, so now I want to make sure he's a linked option. And I'm going to go back to slide 1, Mr. Siegel, and I'm going to click Apply. Okay, so that means that when I click Present, when I'm a viewer and I'm on Iteration, I can click this Home button, and boom, it jumps me back to the first slide. Super cool, right? Okay, great for when you're doing presentations, by the way, because you know how you do a presentation, your teacher's like, oh, can you go back to blah, blah, blah? Boom, you just click on that, and you're good to go. So that Home button needs to be on all 3 of your slides, your Ideation, your Prototype, and your Iteration pages. Now, here's the thing. Don't do more work than you need to. Right-click. There it goes. Copy it. Go to the other slides. Click Paste. It'll automatically go to the exact same location, and it's already linked. Work smarter, not harder, people. Okay? So that's what you need to do for this project. So again, for today's assignment, here's what you're going to do. You're going to select a theme. You're going to change the page setup so that it's 4 by 6.7. You're going to create a start page and 3 individual pages after that. On the start page, you're going to have your name, the words Ideation, Prototype, and Iteration. Your 3 slides will be labeled, one for Ideation, one for Prototype, and one for Iteration. And on each of those 3 slides, you need to have a Home button. Okay? So those are the things that are required of this project to receive full credit. Okay? If you have any questions, as always, please reach out to me as soon as possible, and I will be happy to help you. Thank you, everybody. Have a great day.